Water.
Specific heat capacity?
Yeah, the specific heat capacity of water. What do you multiply it by?
The change in the water.
Change in temperature and the mass. So you multiply it by 179.2 grams. Grams cancels times 34.5 degrees Celsius. Degrees Celsius cancels. Plug these numbers in and tell me what you get.
What do we see in meandering streams that you may not see as well defined in braided streams? You guys have been out sketching them. The point bar cut bank sequences. So under meandering you have...
Is it because the braided tends to be straighter with more channels, that they wouldn't have the turns with the really fast
right.
cutting away?
Right, and it's also finer in the meandering.
They think he's less genuine than he actually is, I suppose.
Okay.
And yeah, yes.
I mean, to be fair though to Nick, does the passage that makes him laugh strike any of you as a little hilarious?
Well, it sounds kind of like he's bragging or something. Like he's talking about, like he says, after that I lived like a young Raja in the capitals of Europe, Paris, Venice.
I taught at a prep school back east, and I think the kids I taught before, although they were just as smart, were less willing to take risks. So Midland creates an intimacy that fosters, you know, risk-taking, which I think is how you get knowledge.
What I would like you to do on this piece of paper is with your pencil or pen, draw as well as you can what your home is, okay? And that may be any number of things. It might be something abstract, it might be what you visualize as your actual physical home, could be anything, okay? We're going to take the next 5 or 10 minutes to do that.
No, actually, I disagree.
Yeah, I disagree as well. I think basically...
The luck is in the filming.
And the song
capitalize on your luck
twice as
in the
long
editing.
as the movie.
What is that, Dan?
It's a super close-up of the CD of the organ music.
There's a code of conduct that parents and students sign before enrolling at Midland. It's very clear what the expectations are around behavior, treatment of others, responsibility to property and oneself, treating others in ways that obviously you would like to be treated. What's that really mean? And also around drugs and alcohol and major offenses like that, or stealing. There's no maintenance or housekeeping staff. So responsibility is authentic, and the school can't run without the students showing up, meeting these jobs daily. There's no one picking up after them. Well, the challenges and the demands are offset by the fact that it's fun. And if there isn't an element of fun in this, then we're in the wrong business.
What are the guiding principles and philosophy that you're going with? You're going from doing the job to leading the job. You're going from participant to leader, and this is it. One is the seniors are responsible for the entire running of a school day with the job program. The taking on that level of responsibility happens not by just throwing the kids into that on September 1st. This seminar is a yearly seminar for the junior class to work on the transition from being underclass people to senior leaders.
Then we also talked about what we thought leadership was, and here are some of the ideas we thought of. Set a good example, creative, positive, responsible, understanding, confidence, listen, open to advice, kindness, knowledge, being just, fair, enthusiastic.
Put it on your tape. Put it on your wall. Read that mission.
Okay, I applied to 9 colleges and I got into 8 of them, and I've narrowed it down to 2 choices, and I'm trying to pick between Whitman and Smith College.
We don't have a test prep class, we don't offer APs, we don't push kids to colleges with big names, in fact encourage them not to go there sometimes. And most of the kids are fine with that, and most of the families are fine with that. And sometimes the result is exactly the opposite, that you end up getting into Princeton or Stanford. But it's not part of what everybody needs. It's not what is driving them. They are being driven by learning. So colleges aren't just looking at test scores and GPAs, they are looking at individual students and wanting to know the whole picture. So our job as Midland adults is to try to figure out how to help them tell their story, and then also to tell their story for them in our recommendations in a way that will make the colleges see that this is a whole person and that they have lots to offer. And the most gratifying thing for me, it seems like it should be a kid getting into a top name school, and it isn't. The most gratifying thing to me is when I see a kid really figure out who they are and acknowledge it and look into themselves and say, this is what I want and this is what I'm going to go for. Because as soon as they know what they want and know who they are, then they're going to get the results that they desire, or that they deserve.
I said Midland hadn't changed, but I'm changing my mind about that. There's still the focus on getting a good education, self-sufficiency, rewarding work, learning the difference between your wants and your needs, staying connected with nature. And there's nothing old-fashioned about any of that. If anything, it's more relevant now than it was back then. But I remember the mindset being harder, more puritanical. Now it seems a lot more enlightened, less uptight. Maybe it's the feminine influence, or maybe it's just the way times have changed. All I know is we didn't used to eat vegetables from this garden, and we never talked about being good stewards of the earth.
Besides teaching chemistry, I'm Midland's Director of Environmental Programs, which means I oversee many of the environmental projects that Midland does. For example, solar panels. Right now, we install solar panels with every sophomore class. And we've done it 5 years in a row now, and more than 10% of Midland's electricity needs are met by solar panels installed by kids. So let's just take an average of 17 volts per module, 3 amps. Tell me the voltage output and the current output of this array.
The current output is really easy.
Really easy.
Because you're going to put 3 strings together, the current doesn't change in a string.
This is a native valley oak, the largest, most massive oak in North America, and Midland has a oak restoration project because these trees aren't really making it on their own because of grazing pressure mostly from ground squirrels, but also horses and cows.
Kids still have to make fires in the early afternoon, so they'll have a tank of hot water for showers before dinner. And they still start those fires with crumpled up old homework or any other scraps they can find, just the way I used to.
Midland's founder, Paul Squibb, wrote that money, light, heat, and water are not things that flow naturally out of pipes, but are things for which somebody has to spend time and thought and energy. I believe the boy who has learned not to take the material blessings of life for granted will live a more vivid and interesting life and will be the better citizen.